There's a formula to this. After one of these tests, these two leaders talked. This happened again recently. President Trump talking to Shinzo Abe. What did they discuss? I noted that the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, says she's not going to call for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council this time around. Do you get a sense here the administration is approaching this one somehow differently?
Yes and no, David. I mean, here's what's interesting about what's going on with North Korea is that the U.S. and Japan are saying that it is an intercontinental ballistic missile, but China and Russia are saying it's not. And until they admit that it is an ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile, then the UN, led of Nikki Haley, of course, being the top U.S. diplomat there, cannot add more sanctions from the UN standpoint. Now, individually, the United States can, and we've seen them do that. But in particular, you have to remember that trade here is everything because China is overwhelmingly, something like more than 80%, North Korea's top exporter and importer.
I just want to read from a couple of tweets here over the weekend. Of course, the president fond of using these to communicate policy.
Wait, the president tweets?
Copiously. I'm very disappointed in China. Our foolish past leaders have allowed them to make hundreds of billions of dollars a year in trade, yet they do nothing for us with North Korea. Just talk will no longer allow this to continue. China could easily solve this problem. What's the messaging that he's delivering to China now? And that's happening publicly on Twitter. What's happening behind the scenes? What are the back channel communications?
Well, David, that's on foreign policy with North Korea. And again, the Chinese are refusing to admit, along with Vladimir Putin, that this was an ICBM. I mean, facts are facts. This is an ICBM by every stretch of the military community, and China and Russia aren't admitting that. But on the second side of this, we should also note about the deteriorating economic relations between the U.S. and China during the last round of meetings the other week. And so I think taken as a whole, this is a shift in the U.S. relations with China in terms of not just foreign policy, but also economics.